Hey everyone, welcome back to OntarioCyrptids. Thank you to Rich, Balmer, Jor Skinner, Vixen Doe, Chris Luman, Terry Doherty, Tom Michael, Emiliapocalypse, Keith Blount, Jean, Hootertransport, and Rosa Vargas, who came into the chat session last night during my live stream. It was a ton of fun, and I had no agenda. We just ended up chatting with a bunch of like-minded people, and you know what? It was very refreshing. I truly enjoyed just sitting in the chat. Hopefully next time I'll get a little bit more creative, and we can, let's just say I have a little surprise for our next session. Last night, I also had a few requests for upcoming stories, and someone mentioned more stories from Ontario. So here goes. Ask and you shall receive. Today we have 3 encounters from Ontario, all very different topics. I hope you all enjoy. Let's get roughly 60 plus likes on today's episode. That would be fantastic. Okay, if you have an encounter story that you would like to share, then please forward your stories to OntarioCyrptids@gmail.com. I would be honored to share your story with like-minded people. Go grab yourself a beverage and get cozy in your favorite spot and sit back and relax. Okay, so this first one is from July 20th of 2016 and occurs in Stoney Creek, Ontario. Hello, to whom it may concern. I own my own dump truck, and last night, technically early this morning, July 20th, 2016, near 3 a.m., I was working with Dufferin Construction, along with 8 other dump trucks. We were grinding the asphalt down on the 50 Road Bridge in Stoney Creek. The milling machines was setting up to turn around to start the other side of the lane. Naturally, we had a little time to talk to one another. As I was chatting with one of the other drivers, and out in the sky over Lake Ontario, approximately halfway between 50 Road and Toronto, I saw a light that started from the top and went in a straight line downwards for a split second. Not all the way to the water, but still up in the sky. It was a bright white light that looked like extremely bright little LED bulbs. This all happened so fast that I reacted right away and asked the man I was talking to if he had seen that. He replied, no. Now, I have seen shooting stars at least 4 or 5 times. I know they kind of hook and curve as they fall, and from what I remember, they're almost an orangish color. This was something that I've never seen before, and the speed that it happened was quick. I saw the meteor shower we had 2 or 3 years ago that was an aqua green color almost, but this light and speed was nothing to compare with that. Maybe somebody else saw this as well. I would be curious after so many years if anyone else had seen the same thing over Stoney Creek at 3 a.m. in the morning. This next one comes from an article in the Sunday Sun on March 25th, 1976. The article is titled Toronto Tunnel Monster. It was a warm summer's day in August of 1978 when a Toronto area man had an experience with a strange creature that would forever change his life. Ernest, he would only allow the first name to be used, was a soft-spoken 51-year-old at the time of his harrowing experience. He and his wife of 19 years has been raising a litter of kittens. One of the kittens apparently disappeared, and Ernest decided to search for it in the vicinity of their Parliament Street apartment. Close by, he stumbled upon the opening of a dark cave and crawled approximately 10 feet inwards. This is where he said, "I saw a living nightmare that I'll never forget." Armed only with a flashlight, Ernest encountered a creature of unknown origins. He described the monster as long and thin, almost like a monkey, 3 feet long, large teeth, weighing maybe 30 pounds, with slate gray fur. However, it was the eyes that truly stood out, orange-red slanted. Ernest spoke reluctantly with reporters as to what occurred next. The creature spoke to him. "I'll never forget it," he said. It said, go away," in a hissing voice. Then it took off down a long tunnel off to the side. I got out of there as fast as I could. I was shaking with fear. Ernest never approached the media with his story. He was afraid that people would think that he was drunk or worse, crazy, and felt that no one would ever believe him. The Sun, Toronto area newspaper, found him after hearing about his experience from a reliable contact who worked with a relative of Ernest's, one of the handful of people to whom he had confided the experience. He would agree to talk only if his last name was not revealed. "I believe Ernie saw exactly what he said he did," said his wife. "He was terrified when he came back to the apartment, and he doesn't scare easily. Look, he's been known to have a drink in the past like most people and to occasionally tie one on, but he's not a drunk and he wasn't drinking at all that day." The Toronto Sun did question some of Ernest's relatives and neighborhood acquaintances. They found that all agreed with and supported his wife's evaluation of her husband. Ernest, accompanied by Sun staff, returned to the location of his strange sighting in March of 1979. The cave's entrance was located at the bottom of a narrow passageway between the building where he lived and the one next door. Together they found the corpse of a cat, which was half buried in the tunnel. The sad discovery reminded Ernest of strange noises like animal in pain that he had heard emanating from the tunnel prior to his frightening encounter. Ernest showed the Sun reporters exactly where he saw the strange being. He stated, "The last I saw the creature, it was heading off into the dark. The passage seemed to drop down very quickly and go a long way back." It was speculated that the tunnel in fact led to the sewer system and that the entranceway besides Ernest's apartment was an access point used by the creature to the surface. Safety concerns promoted Toronto's sewer department to thoroughly inspect the tunnel, as it was feared that children in that area may in fact try to enter it. Ernest's story was very strange. However, sewage employees did not ridicule or scoff at it, according to the report made by the Toronto Sun at that time. One worker who was quoted in the paper stated, "People who work on the surface just don't know what it's like down here. It's a whole different world. Who would have thought a few years ago that people would live in sewers, and yet that's what they found in New York a few years back." Another was quoted as saying, "I don't know what Ernest, saw down there." He also stated, "I'll tell you one thing, if we could get in there, I sure as hell wouldn't want to go down there alone." It is interesting to note that the description of the creature provided by Ernest and artist rendering, which was included in the original Toronto Star article, resembles some current reports of another strange creature, the South American chupacabra. All right, here's the last one of the day. This one occurred August 25th of 1999, and we are heading to Algonquin National Park, Ontario. My name is Kurt. I have been a Bigfoot enthusiast ever since last summer. On October 25th, 1999, I was camping in far North Bay region of Algonquin National Park. I believe the nearest town is Barrie, Ontario, Canada. Just to note, that is not the nearest town. Huntsville would be the nearest town to Algonquin. The area is sloppy, dark, rich soil, lots of mountains and deep forests. The park is 7,725 square kilometers exactly. Algonquin is a Canadian First Nation Indian word, and the park is a massive preserve-type place. It would take you weeks or even months to hike through it. At 12:45 a.m. in the morning, the moon was pretty bright that night, so I had an excellent visibility plus light from the campfire. My friend and I had just sat down next to the fire when we noticed an odd smell. It was like a wet dog and rotten meat. Then we heard a sound. It came from under one of our trucks. There were 2 trucks parked there. One was not ours. It was a guy a few campsites over. We went to see what it was, thinking a raccoon, bear, or something like that. We went to my truck first, and the smell grew worse. We saw a creature that looked like a bear crouched down near the truck, probably watching us. We yelled at it, thinking that it was a bear and that it would run away, but it did not. It stood up and stared at us from a distance of about 10 feet from us. This is when we saw that this was no bear. We continued to yell at it, not knowing what the hell it was. It stared at us while we yelled at it until I guess it got annoyed and yelled right back. The sound it emitted was an ear-piercing and deep. It was as if it was being disemboweled. We were freaking out at this point, thinking for sure we were dead. Like, come on, I'm 6'2" tall, and this thing was a lot bigger and wider than I was. Almost immediately after it snarled and yelled, whatever it was doing, we heard a gunshot and it ran into the forest like a bolt of lightning. A ranger pulled up in his truck and thought we were being attacked by a bear. We were not in the boonies, we were on a main trail, road, and he was making sure all the fires in the area were under control. He heard us yelling and came. We told him the story and he only laughed, telling us it was probably just a bear. Well, I'll tell you, a bear is not that big and it does not run or stand on 2 legs, and it doesn't have a face so human-like in appearance. Its nose was flat and you would think it was a man. It had long brownish red hair, cow-like molars we could see when it was yelling, big black eyes, skin on his face that looked leathery, long arms, wide hips. There have been black bear attacks in the area, but I think more by wolves though. It had long hair about 6 inches in length and smelled like hell. That night we packed our things right in front of the ranger and told him, if that was a bear, I'm freaking Superman. If this seems weird of me to say, I knew nothing as to what we had just encountered. We left, and I did not tell anyone until we began doing more research into this thing you call Bigfoot. For God's sakes, I didn't know what a Bigfoot was until after we saw it. Never again will I camp in Algonquin near Whitefish Lake. Wow, there you have it, guys. 3 unusual stories, all from Ontario. One, a UFO sighting, orb sighting. I'm not sure which one it was, but definitely not unusual. There's a lot of strange stuff that happens in our skies. The next one was a little bit more unusual. It's the first time I've heard of this one, so it was kind of refreshing reading it. But what did he say? 3.5 foot, 30-pound creature, that talked and had teeth, that had a slate gray fur. Not sure what this could be. Monkeys, as far as I know, don't talk. But in any case, it freaked him out. And according to the workers that work the sewer systems, there's a lot of odd things that they see down there. I wonder what else they have uncovered. But that was quite interesting, especially the fact that they called it a chupacabra. Chupacabra, I believe, are more dog-like in appearance. The last one I'm not shocked at Algonquin Park. It is a huge park. Barrie is a city, but it's about 2.5 hours away from Algonquin Park. So that is not, I would not consider that the next closest town. You have Huntsville, you have, you got a couple of other towns nearby that's closer than Barrie. The other thing that I found interesting about this one was Algonquin is a huge place. I guess if you were to try and hike its circumference, maybe it would take you months to hike through. Plus, it would be crazy trying to bushwhack through that because, as you saw coming in, there's nothing but wilderness all around it. But the interesting thing about this one is, this thing just stood there and yelled at them after it yelled at it. And so I just thought that was kind of funny that they actually just stood there and yelled at it. I'm sorry, but if I would have seen, a Bigfoot, do they say the size? I don't think they said the height, but obviously it was bigger than he was, and he was 6 foot 2 inches tall. So I don't know, maybe this was 7 foot 8 feet tall. If I saw something like that standing looking at me that kind of looked like a man, and covered in hair, I don't know if I would yell at it necessarily. I think I would run away from it or back away from it, but I don't know if I would be yelling. But pretty interesting. Loved all three of them. I hope you guys enjoyed these stories. I know you guys had requested more stories from Ontario and more along the UFO, etc. Type stories. So I thought I'd give you guys a mixed ball or a mixed bag of stories today. If these stories reminded you of an encounter that you may have had and would like to share, then please forward your stories to OntarioCyrptids@gmail.com. I would be honored to share your story on this channel. Thank you guys for listening until the end. I truly appreciate it. Please hit that like button. Let's see if we can get plus 60 likes on this one episode. And on your way out, guys, don't forget to smash that subscribe button if you're new to my channel. And the last thing is hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with all my uploads. One thing I heard last night is a lot of the folks who were chatting, they don't have any social media accounts, so the only way they stay up to date is by hitting that notification bell. And that is the only way you will know, unless I somehow can put up reminders of when I'm about to do another stream. But in any case, I hope you all have a great weekend, and I hope to see you all next week right here on Ontario Cryptids.